Hello everyone, this is Michael Youssef. My video talk today is about advice on how to handle the communications aspects of a project. The importance of effective communication cannot be overemphasized. Communications will occur frequently and continuously throughout the entire project and will directly influence the day-to-day progress and outcome. Consequently, this video will provide advice on how to handle the communications aspects of a project. This includes important considerations about effective communication along with the specific recommendations that a project manager or PM can readily employ. The content is organized around three main processes: plan, manage, and monitor communication, with a tip given at the end of each process that acts as an important step to be taken in that process. The recommendations are drawn from practical project management experiences and related resources. Let's start with plan communication process. Communication can occur for many reasons, including the dissemination of information, tasking of assignments, and reporting. Communications can fail in the message, content, audience, channel, or timeliness, and things will fall apart quickly if the PM doesn't establish effective communication protocols. The goal of the PM's communication plan is to consider what information is required so that the project team and stakeholder groups can be successful. Planning will help to reduce communication failures that can have a negative impact on time, cost, quality, and even safety. Planning will help the PM to effectively handle interactions within the project, share information, and obtain reports. Planning also provides an opportunity for the PM to see communications holistically and better understand how the PM's team, stakeholders, and the channels can cohere for success and productivity. Considering who, what, where, when, and how is a simple but effective way to build a solid communications strategy. For instance, let's consider the communications requirements for stakeholders involved at various stages of the project. The PM can feel free to rely on the project team directory along with other resources, such as schedule and project plan. He or she needs to be sure to record contextually relevant factors such as industry, culture and personalities, technologies, terminology, and jargon. The PM can also leverage the expertise of previous experts in his or her project type to enhance the understanding of stakeholders. The plan should also address the PM's expectations and help clarify responsibilities. Likewise, it should identify any communications limitations and constraints. The PM should identify to the project team and stakeholders the best methods to be reached and him/her to reach them, such as phone or Skype, fax, email, group chat application, cloud project management software, or text, etc. Different stakeholders will be amenable to different technologies. While the project team could be comfortable with video conferencing and emails, phone calls could be more appropriate for workers in the field. Also, the PM needs to outline formal communication touchpoints, such as scheduled meetings with the team and stakeholders. But it's worth to note that informal meetings with them will be equally important. As new crews come and go, there will be a need to have turnover meetings that will help hold those leaving accountable to the work that they have done, and for new crew to know what has been done and what their responsibilities are going forward. So the tip for the PM in the planning of communication process is take advantage of as many interpersonal exchanges as possible as the quality of communication is high. Let's move on to the manage communications process. Communication management is the act of putting the communications plan into action. It is the how component. Here are some simple and effective tools the PM can employ consistently throughout. This will ensure that the PM gets the most accurate information, no one is left out of the loop, and that the project team is doing what the PM wants and not their interpretation of what is wanted. Written records of all communications are vitally important. Clear, managed, and documented communications give the PM excellent evidence in the likely event of legal action and the more likely event of a dispute. It can be as simple as a journal where the PM records the date, time, content, and person or persons involved in the conversation, but may also include a simple filing system or project management software. No matter which system is used, the information needs to be accessible, organized, and secure, and the PM needs to be consistent in the use of it. Following up all important conversations with a summary email to the parties involved will help to make sure everyone is on the same page after the meetings. Active listening is the act of concentrating, understanding, responding, and remembering. Using this tool will help the PM to obtain feedbacks. The PM can summarize what is heard to reinforce understanding. These practices will help the PM to be perceived as honest and trustworthy, both of which will benefit in relationships, especially when conflicts need to be resolved. It's important that the PM employs a range of channels best matched to the message and the recipient. Information on project status could be disseminated through regular meetings, emails, phone conference calls, or instant messaging, depending on the level of details to be discussed. The PM needs to look for natural communication channels and find the path of least resistance. His or her communication will often be held in person, so it needs to be understood that nonverbal communication makes up the majority of transmitted messages in face-to-face interactions. The PM has to strive for effective communications that are clear, concise, considerate, complete, concrete, and correct. He or she needs to be inclusive and encourages a two-way flow so that communication occurs at all times. The tip for the PM in the managed communication process is to store meeting minutes, emails, and phone logs for future references. And finally, let's go to monitor communications process. Keeping in mind that communication needs many changes as the project processes, the PM must monitor to ensure that the information needs of stakeholders and the project are being met, the flow of information is reciprocal, and that good and bad news are being communicated. A PM once said, projects invariably flounder when communications are intentionally or unintentionally inhibited or misunderstood. Bad news must always be encouraged to safely flow upwards to the PM. The PM can use observation, or in other words, management by walking around. This is done by frequently observing and listening to concerns, issues, and general progress of crews at the office or the work site. He or she has to be willing to speak up, ask questions, and check for understanding. If things are not going smoothly, the PM has to be willing to introduce a change in his or her approach to the communication plan and or the communications themselves. One tactic is to increase the frequency of meetings to figure out what's causing an issue. Another tactic is to make sure that he or she is not going to waste everyone's time by ensuring that every meeting has a specific purpose and agenda. Also, keeping meetings to the agreed time limit. In the event of a conflict or a dispute, the PM can employ several strategies, such as problem solving or smoothing, to bring about a positive resolution. So the tip for the PM in monitoring the communications process is, when communicating with a stakeholder group, always check for understanding. To conclude, this video's goal was to provide any PM with a deeper understanding of communications, its importance on any project, and to emphasize practical advice that can be employed. If communications are planned for and actively managed and monitored, any PM can be confident that he or she will positively affect the success of the project. Thank you very much for watching.